up in just a few moments, have on hats, gloves. It is because it is a nice brisk 24 degrees here in Alabama. They have on far less clothes than I do, just trust me. But we are in for a doozy of a day of some great distance running. These are the national championships, ladies and gentlemen. Some of the top teams and top individuals in the United States will be coming at you today. I am Will Grundy. I am the Texas editor for MileSplit, and I have a co-pilot flying this thing today with me, Mr. Bill Jenkins from the hot and warm, beautiful state of Florida. Tampa, to be exact. Bill, say hello to the good folks tuning in this morning.
I guarantee you it is not 24 degrees in Tampa right now. When I got in my vehicle this morning, the display said 19. I think my Toyota decided it was going to try to head back to Florida instead of over here, but I'm so glad to be here back in Alabama country. Roll Tide, got to get that out there. Very pleased, not so pleased with the frost on the ground as I walked over to our production trailer, but just honored to be here with you, Will, and looking forward to a great morning of cross country.
And folks, Bill just told you he resides in Tampa, Florida. So he's a Florida guy here. I live in Austin, Texas. So if we're crying about the weather, that is why. I know we have a lot of people tuned in from Colorado, Illinois, Utah, and states like that who are going to be, why are these guys whining? That is going to be our justification. He's from Florida. I am from Texas. So you just have to deal with our whining today. Nevertheless, it will turn into an awesome day, and we can't wait for that. Also, Bill, tell these people, I'm pretty sure they heard your Roll Tide. Explain to them why.
Well, I got to run collegiately at the University of Alabama back in the 80s, so there's always going to be a Roll Tide out there. You know, it's going to warm up because we're going to see some great racing. It's going to be hot out there on that course. Some fast times, I'm sure. It's a clear day, beautiful day out here. So we will warm up inside just watching these awesome athletes. But, yeah, I ran high school in Florida and then got to run collegiately at the University of Alabama. And I think we have that in common. We both ran the 800, I believe. You're an 800-meter specialist. I got to run the 800 and the 1,500. And just love running. As is with cross-country runners, it's a different breed of animal, those kids. A lot of times when I coached, I would tell my runners, you're not really athletes. And they'd look at me kind of cockeyed and say, what do you mean I'm not an athlete? I said, we transcend athletics as being runners. Definitely a special breed of kid that decides to go out there and pound his body into submission mile after mile. So these are the best of the best. Some of the best kids and some of the best scholar athletes out there as well.
Correct.
So we're seeing some top-notch individuals and some great runners.
And today's race, or schedule of events, the gun just went off for the community race, which shot at 8 o'clock, actually a minute early. That's how outstanding they are here. 9 o'clock will be the silver girls race, followed by the silver boys at 9:30. At 10 o'clock, they will be doing the presentation of colors and the national anthem, followed by the girls' gold, the boys' gold, and then the bronze race at 11:30. So 10:15, 11 o'clock will be the gold races, followed by 11:30 bronze boys, and a lot of action packed in between that. This 8 o'clock start and 11:30. As you can already see, they have a very wide starting line, which is wonderful for this type of event. And you can still see the runners spread out from left to right as they narrow in to the eventual tangent lines. And so the community race is an awesome way to begin this. Huntsville, Alabama, and the Huntsville City Commission has Parks and City Commission is an outstanding partner for RunningLane Championships. The effort that they put in to keep this course in pristine condition throughout the year, let alone what they put into their events here, is second to none. So you get the community runners out here giving their efforts. I'm pretty sure we have a lot of Huntsville workers, city workers out here this morning. This is a great ode to them.
And I believe that's Cameron Bensley of Creek Track Club leading this community race.
And it's quite interesting, Bill. He's going with the traditional cross-country uniform, sleeveless unit, and the tights. So Your thoughts on that?
Well, keep your hands and your head warm, and that pretty much covers all of the heat receptors. I don't see a hat on that gentleman, but he's definitely got his hands covered. I don't know if I'd be sleeveless myself, but he's clicking off the pace pretty well right there. Camlin Bensley of Creek Track Club.
So I will add to this, even though I will cry about the weather today. I am originally from Illinois, and my junior year, our sectional championships, we did run in snow, and my senior season, the sectional and the state meet, we ran in snow. And so you put on all these clothes because you're cold. That's the way you live up north, is to put on layers and be prepared for the cold because you're never used to it. But then while you're running, of course, you know your body does generate the heat and you have it trapped in. So you start taking everything off. He elected to go with everything off from the beginning. So brave man right there on that. But he's got another competitor right there. Looks like 504, excuse me. We'll get that bib number right there going stride for stride. And that is your 1-2 punch. And you're going to get a glimpse for the other early races from this race of what the course looks like. The conditions, they are about as spectacular as you can ask for.
And I believe that is Elias Found. He is running unattached. They are going neck and neck in this 5K community race.
And even though this is a community race, some of these athletes or runners have raced for high school or colleges, so you expect them to have some kind of, well, I will go directly to the form. Nice easy L's, low arms, not a lot of wasted movement in these two, and that's probably why they're your leaders, getting a lot of running in, and they look very efficient right there.
Well, Cameron is from Georgia. He's 26 years old and comes in with a PR of 14:32. Not too shabby.
No, it is not.
Not too shabby. Elias, originally from Arkansas, and he comes in seated with a 15:47 5K PR. So they are going at it. About a minute and 15 seconds separating their personal best, but Elias is hanging on. You can see the frost on the ground. That'll melt away soon.
Yeah, and this is the beauty of cross country. Frost is on the ground, but you see the orange and red leaves on the trees, even on the ground. That is the quintessential cross country championship season course. That's what it's supposed to look like, and that's what we have here at these championships. Just a beautiful sight.
Looks like about 4:30:39 at the mile.
Wow, and it's cold, but they're hot out there. That's a nice pace for a community race. That's
yeah,
one of
that's
the fastest races I've seen in a community race.
14:20 extrapolate out if they maintain that pace. Of course, as we know, they usually go a little bit quicker. Just depends on what the strategy Cameron's got in mind here for Elias. But right now they're running about 14:25K pace.
Yeah, and you can't be too mad if you're either one of those gentlemen. You have somebody to run with at this point, which you may not be used to getting in a community race. So now you see them verging from the right side of the course over to the left, definitely taking the tangents. Two experienced runners there by that move, in my opinion.
Yeah, they've got, looks like about 60 to 70 meters on the rest of the field. A couple of small pockets of packs behind them. They're doing a good job of running those tangents, as you mentioned earlier. That is something that is taught by the better high school coaches for their athletes to run the tangents. Don't run extra distance. And they are hugging the turn well.
And in the states where we come from in cross country, when I have the opportunity to run in the shade, that's probably the best part of the day. Probably not for them right now today. When they were in that shade, I was feeling sorry for them, as the great Lord got them back into the sun real soon to get some sunlight and some heat on them.
Well, I'm sure going out 4:39, they're heating up pretty well.
True. And you see in the background the sky, not a cloud in sight right there. So it is going to be an awesome day of racing, and these gentlemen are getting it off started. We're starting to see some separation there.
Mm-hmm.
Final surge, Huntsville Sports Commission.
See, Cameron looks pretty relaxed. Elias is tensing up. One of my favorite encouragements to my runners is relax your face. I've had coaches come up to me and say, what did you just say? Relax what? I tell them to relax their face, because the tension will build from their face down to their neck, to their shoulder, all the way to the leg. So if you keep your face relaxed, that can add to your legs staying nice and smooth. And looks like Cameron is making good use of that hill right there.
And this is known as PRville, so and we'll get into this a lot more throughout the broadcast. But this course is considered to be flat and fast. It's not as flat as people who have not raced it or walked it believe it is. There are a few inclines, and we just saw one. I think they went through the biggest one in the early part of the mile. So now they're back on flat land. We'll see if this gap continues to grow or if the young man in second can close it just a bit.
Yeah, it's always good if you're going to make a move, especially if you're going up a little bit of an incline, you know, make that move and continue on with that move. Shouldn't be just a short, 20, 30, 40 meter move. You just keep going, especially going up an incline. You really want to try to break the runner that you're pulling away from. It looks like Cameron's doing a great job.
Yeah, and as I mentioned earlier in this race, his form is probably as relaxed as can be. Maybe a little sway in the shoulders and the arms, but and that's just being nitpicky. But he looks very efficient and smooth right there.
I know as a former 800-meter runner, we really examine form well, looking at what an 800-meter runner's form would be, and I've learned over the years that that isn't always the case for cross-country runners. If you look at Elias, you see that his hands are up higher. I had that form for a long time. My coach would yell at me, but we might as well just chop those arms off because you're not doing any good with them being up high. Look like you're punching yourself in the face. My arms would raise up, and you're really not getting the kind of flow that the Cameron's got. He's got that nice arm swing. Your arms and your legs work in conjunction with each other. So if your arms are swinging the way that his are swinging, he's keeping the flow with the legs. But then again, Elias is a 15-minute guy, 15:40 guy. Obviously, he's done well with the form that he's got. So you never really can tell. On the track, it's a little more consistent, but in cross-country, not always the case.
Right, and we saw the separation maybe just a bit past the mile, and there might have been just a wee bit more, but it still seems like Elias is still in contact. He hasn't allowed him to just completely run away, which is important if he wants to stay. And that's part of motivation, too. If you see someone still steadily there that within a considerable amount of distance, if it starts to open up, then a lot more comes into play with fatigue for a runner. And there they come through. I believe that is 2 miles. Unable to get the clock there.
The clock's at 9:56 now, so that was about 7 seconds ago. So they were at about 9:50, so looks like they dropped down. Probably ran a 5:0 something mile for that second mile, maybe 5:02. Actually 5:12. My brain is still a little frozen. The math skills haven't warmed up yet.
Yeah, it's cold and it's early, and yeah, it's too early for mathematics right now. But there you still see our leader mashing, and he's coming up on a small incline there, looking down at his watch. But this is a nice, easy run this early Saturday morning, RunningLane Championships morning.
So Cameron was 9:38 at the 2 mile, so he split 5:01. And Elias in at 9:45, so Cameron's got about a 7-second lead. Henry Hunter is currently running in that 3rd spot at 10:44, so he's almost a minute behind, a little over a minute behind Cameron. So Cameron and Elias have really taken charge of this race, this community 5K.
And there's a view of the next crop of runners coming through the 2 mile. See 11:10, 11:12, 11:14 for several of those guys and ladies.
Samuel, get to this side, buddy. Go on this side.
And Bill, I would like to say, if we weren't on the broadcast and here announcing, we could have been in that race.
I was just thinking that.
Been in that race.
I was just thinking that. Where would we be in this race as 2 former 800-meter runners? And
many years ago.
Many years ago.
If we're putting that on years and legs and amount of miles on the legs, I don't think I would have been coming through yet. Back in the day, different story, but today here in 2024, I'd still be keeping those other guys company.
Well, that's the neat thing about doing what we get the honor to do is running. I know for me, running defined me as a young man. And after the years have gone and the legs maybe didn't keep up, we're able to do what we're doing and sit here and talk about running. Basically, we're just two guys talking about racing and running, and able to share those comments with the folks listening. It is an honor to be able to do this and just watch and observe greatness. And we'll see a lot of greatness coming up. We're seeing some right here. Cameron's really tearing it up out there, but as we've said, this is the national championship of high school cross country, and we should be in store for some great times from runners from all around the country, from coast to coast, from Maine to Oregon to Florida to Michigan.
Yeah, and what you just talked about, that's kind of what we're seeing here. These are people like you and I, who running has impacted our lives, and it becomes a lifestyle. And whether you have a headset on like we do today, or you're out here on the course, or maybe other people around the country are just getting home, tuning in. They went out for a long run or walk for themselves. This is what running kind of means to a lot of us. We're not going to make millions of dollars doing this, but it is a lifestyle. And this is just them using their opportunity to get out here, showing what running means to them, and racing out here this morning. And approaching 13:30 in this race.
So 3 miles is probably not too far away for Cameron.
Bensley and Found have been your 1-2 combination since the beginning, the early steps, and they have been consistent throughout the race. A little bit of distance between the two. Nevertheless, they're going to end the first race of the morning and afternoon on a very, very positive note here.
It's like another little incline there. Like you said, Will, the course is relatively flat with a few rollers up through there. Looks like that. Is that the 3 mile mark right there?
It is.
14:16 at 3 miles. So he's going to go under 15 minutes. And that's Cameron Bensley running for the Creek Track Club.
And despite the separation from that one move, Elias Found is steady right there, just 7 seconds behind.
Here they come. Our top finishers in our community race.
Yeah, he's maintained that. It was 7 seconds at the 2 mile. It looks like he may have actually closed a little bit. Let's see how they finish out. Just looking at sub 15. It looks like he may have just hit that.
Dot. What kind of day is this going to be if we're getting that in the community race?
Yeah, 4/10 under 15 minutes. 14:59 for Bensley.
14:59.6.
And Elias found the finish line. And it only took him 15 minutes and 11 seconds.
I see what you did there, Bill. If I would have told you you're going to get a 14:59 and a 15:11 in the community race this morning, would you have believed that?
I don't know if I would have believed that or not, Will. That was
so the silver boys have it cut out for them. The silver, the gold, and the bronze beating the community race.
Well, now we know the course is fast. The conditions are conducive to fast.
Exactly.
I believe in the past we've had a little bit of rain out here. Is that right? Well, I was not here last year, but I've heard it was a little moist.
It was a little moist.
A little moist.
A little moist and muddy.
Muddy.
Not the case today. I don't know how many people are going to have jumping in the pond today, but that definitely sets the tone for today, and it shows you what kind of conditions the course is in and the kind of performances we could be seeing today.
I don't think the pond is melted yet. They might be bouncing off of that pond if they tried to jump into it.
Yeah, I wouldn't recommend it today.
But there's some great footage of last year's race and in the hype video from years past at this RunningLane Championship of the heralded pond jump. Really neat. If you haven't seen that yet, folks, you need to click onto MileSplit and go to the RunningLane hype video.
Yeah, we made sure that a time or two again throughout the broadcast today. It won't really encapsulate the full pond jumps, those were something else. But they will get a little taste of what you're talking about.
Looks like Josh Merrick finished third. He was a minute and a half back from Found and Bensley. Henry Hunter in at fourth as the athletes start to cross through that checkered finish line.
And as the runners come through to put a cap on this community race, Bill, you mentioned that you and I were half milers, coming through high school and college, which effectively means 9 times out of 10, back in our day, you were still on the cross country team.
Oh yeah.
And high school, I think I was the best cross country runner 3 of the 4 years in high school on my team. In Illinois, we ran 3 miles. I believe they still run 3 miles, and my fastest time was 15:08. And I thought that was fantastic. I really did.
It was.
I talked about that for many years. When you coach kids, you talk about that until these last 10 years or so, when these kids are running way faster than 15:08 for 5K.
Oh, yeah.
And I'd start tucking that in my pocket, and I don't bring that out as much. But I think that was really good for back in the day. What were some of your and you can include college, too, with the 6K and 8K if you want to. But what were some of your best cross-country performances?
Well, like you said, I ran cross-country to get in shape for track. I ran 13:52 on the track, but specialty was the 800 and 1500 and the mile. Of course, every runner, every high school distance runner, middle distance runner in my era, which was early 80s, that was when we had Sebastian Coe and Steve Ovett and Steve Cram, the great milers from the UK. Eamon Coughlin, the chairman of the boards, running indoor track. The great Irishman that he was.
On real boards. Like
on the boards, yes, the boards up in New York. But I guess I had a good range. I had a great coach. My coach was coached by the 1952 Olympic 100-meter dash champion, Lindy Remnigino, and a lot of his workouts, my coach as a distance runner, who was a great NC2A, finished NC2A runner-up cross, running out of a D2 school out of Connecticut. But a lot of what he was coached was with speed stuff, because his coach was a sprinter. And I was fortunate to have a great coach that motivated me. Running really gave me an identity. It really changed who I was. A very shy, withdrawn, kind of low self-esteem, really didn't have anything. I was the kid that was always picked last for recess, when we don't have recess anymore in schools, but you're playing kickball or whatever, and I was always the last one standing there, just looking forlorn. Nobody wanted me on their team. I was skinny and awkward and uncoordinated. And my sophomore year in high school, the coach stood up in front of orientation and said, cross country is the sport for the kid that can't do anything else. He was talking right to me, and my only goal my sophomore year was to make the varsity squad, which I made in the last meet before the county championships. And lo and behold, by senior year, I'm making visits to colleges and running some quick times on the track, and it changed who I was. It really gave me an identity. So running fast was great. I remember running repeat 220s on the track, and I can feel it now, just making that turn. And as an 800 meter, having speed, it was amazing. Just making those turns, running those repeat 200s, running, 23 high, 24 lows for repeats of 200s. To have that kind of speed, you were felt invincible. Not so much now, sitting in this chair with my hands frozen. The invincibility is gone, but it's nice to kind of relive things, as you mentioned, watching these guys, watching Cameron crank through a 14:59. Cameron, 26 years old. Actually, when I was 26, I was running some of the best times of my life, training for the Olympic trials back in the day. Unfortunately, hit plantar fasciitis in both feet within a week. Yeah, so
that's some bad luck.
That is. But there was a point for that. All things work together for a purpose.
You said a lot of in that story, a lot of key words. I believe that are important. But the one I took out most was goal. And you said your goal, I believe you said your sophomore year or freshman year, was to make varsity. And I think that's what cross country is all about. Like you said, you may not be the fastest kid or the best athlete, which most of these are probably not. But goal is the key word. You set a goal, whether it's to run as a boy 22 minutes in 5,000 meters. You set that goal and you reset, then you automatically change it to something else. And that is what the sport is about. Whether you're running 14s or 13s or 22s, the goal is what I believe this teaches us about life. And I think we saw that in the community race, and we're going to see that throughout the day. Of course, these kids are a lot faster than those in our days. A lot of factors involved in that. But they're going to make for an outstanding day here at John Hunt Park in the beautiful city of Huntsville, Alabama.
Roll Tide.
I have a feeling I'm going to hear that more than I want to today.
I'll try to refrain.
No, it's quite all right.
You have a decent football team from the state of Texas. I think they're playing well this season.
Yes, I don't want to jinx it. They are playing in a quite important game, meaningful game this afternoon, not too far after this event completes, which I will be hoping to catch. But yeah, they are playing the SEC Championships against Georgia, who beat them pretty handily a couple months ago. So
it'll be a good game. It'll be a good game.
A game that your alma mater you're used to seeing in.
Yeah, we don't need to necessarily talk about Alabama football this year, although we're in the mix. We're in the mix for the college playoffs. But that's the difference between our sport that we're watching and a team sport like that. In football or basketball or baseball, in football, you have to have a line in order to be a great running back. If you're going to put up the numbers as a quarterback, you've got to have that receiver to be able to catch the ball. In basketball, if you're going to score, you got to have a point guard feeding the ball to you. With cross country, it's you against you. It's neat to have the team dynamic of the team winning a state championship or in this case today as national championship. But really, you're not depending on a lineman or a point guard or an outfielder to complete the process of the sport. It's them against them within themselves. They're not really racing the guy next to them. Cameron wasn't necessarily racing Elias. Cameron was racing the guy inside of him that was saying, "Oh, it's too cold. Nah, that hill's too tough. Nah, I'm not feeling it." That's who you're racing against, is the guy within you. That's a big difference between the team sports that we talked about and cross country. Really, it's you against you.
Truer words were never spoken than those that you just elocuted right there. And our sport at this time of the year, at championship events like this, there's no, hey, I think I can beat you. We ran this here, we ran that there. It's get on the line. The only line that you need to worry about, 1 or 2, is the starting line and the finish line here. And you go do it. You don't need to talk about, we were talking about the college football playoffs. There's no, they get in because of this or this, prognostications or data points. It's get on the line and the data point will prove for itself. And that is the beauty of this sport. And that's something no one can take away.
And not to give too much attention to the young men out there in that community race, but looks like our ladies winner was Amy Schertzer out of the community race.
And what did she run?
She ran 18:37, which is right at 6-minute pace, maybe a smidge above that, but 18 minutes on a cold day like this. Amazing. 18:37 for Amy Schertzer.
We're going to see a few times faster than that, but a lot more times not as fast for younger ladies. And that, I mean, Ms. Schertzer, hats off to you. Like my partner Bill just said, we were talking about 2 guys and several guys in the front, but hats off to you, Ms. Schertzer, for that 18:37. You would have been one of at least 20 other people who would have beaten me today. And as the runners continue to come through for the community race, 9 o'clock will be the start of the silver race, and will be the silver girls. So we will have several minutes leading up to that. We may pause on go on break, but we will be back to let you know about the history of the RunningLane Cross Country Championships, as well as some of the favorites that we have coming up today. So we will take a timeout for a couple minutes, but we will definitely be back here to talk about the rest of the slate of events for today.
Real quick, Amy Schertzer, the young lady, 46.
46 years old.
46 years old, 46 years young. Wait, 29. Amy's 29. She may be listening. I don't want her coming out.
29 today.
She's 29 today, but her license says 46. 46 years old from Colorado, used to the cold, but still tremendous time for a 46-year-old young lady, Amy Schertzer, our community winner of this 2024 RunningLane Championship.
Hats off to Amy. We will be back momentarily.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, the countdown continues. The countdown continues. We are 30 minutes away from the start of our Silver Girls Race. 30 minutes away. Our Silver Girls Race will begin at 9 a.m. Don't forget to stop by the official merchandise tent. Grab your 2024 RunningLane Cross Country Championship apparel, located just in front of the awards area. And if you finished, we need our top 2 finishers, our top 2 female finishers, to please report back to the finish line. Once again, our top 2 female finishers in our community race, please make your way back to the finish line. RunningLane would like to interview you. We would like to thank our sponsors for helping make the 2024 RunningLane Cross Country Championships possible. Garmin, Sportsmed Orthopedic Surgery and Spine Center, Final Surge, Huntsville Sports Commission, Just Love Coffee, and don't forget they're on hand this morning, serving up that warm cup of coffee and some breakfast treats. The Rich Baker and Stretch Lab. Thank you for helping make the 2024 RunningLane Cross Country Championships possible.
That's the cold. That's cold.
Oh, Miles. Still have the sweats on that. But getting you some extra advantage points here of what's going to happen for this next race. And that is the girls' silver race. Again, 9 o'clock is the start time. 9:30 is the start time for the boys' silver race, followed by the 10 o'clock presentation of colors and the national anthem. 10:15 will be the start time for girls' gold, boys' gold, excuse me. Second time I had trouble saying that today. Is at 11 o'clock, and 11:30, the boys' bronze race. And we have athletes from all over the country, as my partner Bill said, from coast to coast, here in the beautiful city of Huntsville, Alabama. Outstanding day. As the temperatures warm up, the better it gets. But this is the Running Lane Cross Country Championships. And since the beginning of this, the initial race, there's been nothing but outstanding times set for maybe last year's rainy day. Nevertheless, there were still good performances. Today, we've already been graced with a sub-15 performance from the community race. 14:59 was the winning time, and the top ladies race was 18:27. So the standard, the bar is high already.
And the frost is coming off the bar. And it's going to come off it even more. You know, we're getting ready for this girls' silver race, and talking about the cold, our top seed, or at least the young lady coming in with the fastest time in this race, is from nowhere other than Florida, down in my neck of the woods. Cheyenne Thomas from Tavares High School out of Florida. She is our top seeded runner for the silver race, coming in with an 18:17 PR. She was the Florida cross-country runner-up at the state meet this past November. Also was the 1,600-meter runner-up in the as a freshman, running 4:54. Also has run 2:13 in the 800, not too shabby for a high school freshman. And so she is gearing it up on the line, getting ready in about 10 minutes to start our silver girls race.
10 minutes.
Now, I think this is Cheyenne's first time at Running Lane. Grace Danzer, a junior out of Maynard Jackson High School out of Georgia. This will be her second go-around at Running Lane, and she comes in with an 18:40 PR. She'll be battling it out with Miss Thomas. And Esther Paulson, also one to keep an eye out, from Colorado. He's a little more used to this weather. She ran at Palmer Ridge High School, and she has an altitude adjustment time of 18:55. So we should have some quick times coming across the line in this girls' silver race.
And Bill, in terms of times, you mentioned earlier that we're going to have to see how it pans out today, because this is what you're here for, is to get out and race it out. But some of those states that you mentioned, particularly I'm going to call Colorado, they don't run on the fastest courses, the best terrain like we get in Texas and maybe that you get in Florida. And then you have the conversion for elevation that we saw in the community race 6 from a woman, 18:26, I believe that's what I said. That's coming down from elevation, so she probably had a lot better time breathing and had the lungs to race that fast today. How big of a factor do you think that's going to play that we aren't seeing some of the Colorado ones with the faster times?
No, that could be a huge difference. I remember talking to a friend of mine, Jim Ryan, who, in my opinion, probably the greatest.
Throwing out the big names there.
Well, Jim is a dear friend of mine, and in '68, when he went up against Kip Kano, the Kenyan, grew up in altitude. He trained in Colorado for a few months, and that's that was the misnomer back then. You think going up and training in altitude for a few months is going to acclimate you, but no comparison to those that have grown up like the team from Niwot and like Amy
Where?
that won that
Springville,
community
Utah.
race,
Okay.
being from Colorado.
So you're
there's
kind
no
of used to this.
substitute for living at altitude, and obviously it showed with Amy's great race and the community race, and I think we're going to see some fast times from those young ladies and gentlemen from altitude. Yeah, it will make a difference, I believe. And this is cross country. The courses, it's hard to really throw out their national records and state records because of the difference in courses. You really can't call those state records. We can call them state bests or national bests. Terrains, big difference in terrains, course to course to course. Some cross country courses are 60% on the roads. Of course you're going to run fast there. But like you said, it's two lines, the starting line, the finish line, and it's you against you, and it's you against the guy next to you or the gal next to you, and we'll see who wants it more on this course on this given day.
And speaking of elevation, Miss Jenna Hutchins from Tennessee has the fastest time, or the fastest time on the course, 15:58, from back in 2022 when she won this event. She now runs for BYU, and they ran pretty good last week or a couple weeks ago at the cross country NCAA Championships. And she's at BYU. She's having an opportunity to train in elevation. And Colin Salmon, who has the fastest time of this course, 14:03 on the boys' side, which we'll talk more on that later. I believe he runs at NAU. So another runner electing to go train in elevation, as you mentioned, as he's in Arizona at Northern Arizona University.
Yeah, of course, Utah, BYU, altitude there. I lived in Utah for a bit, and the altitude and the dryness, big difference going from Florida to Utah. And you know that the humidity is quite a bit different in the Midwest than it is over here on the southeastern coast.
Humidity, they call it the southern man's elevation or altitude. Definitely something you have to deal with.
Yeah, definitely. And the temperatures that we don't have. When you get the southern kids that come up, even though we're in Alabama, which you can't get much more southern than Alabama, even though Florida is geographically more south. When you get the kids coming up like Cheyenne, who is getting ready to mix it up with girls from all over the country, she's coming from the warm climates of Tavares, Central Florida. She's feeling really good with this weather right now. It's a big difference when you step out of the door and the humidity. You're at 6 a.m. and it's 70 degrees with 90% humidity. Those
are tough conditions.
Oh, it's debilitating, it can seem. So she's going to be loving that. Cheyenne's going to be loving this temperature once that gun goes off. But again, whether it's altitude, whether it's terrain, whether it's weather, like you said, this is mano a mano. Regardless of where you're coming from and what you've done, that gun goes off. We'll see who's got it. We will see who's got it.
Yeah, and as we get prepared for this Silver Girls race, I mentioned Jenna Hutchins from Science Hill High School in Tennessee. 15:58 is the course record. Not too far behind that in 2023, I believe. Excuse me. She did that in 2020. And 2021 was Natalie Cook running 16:03. That was an outstanding year here. Lily Cridge from Bishop Chatard there in Indianapolis, 16:22 is the third fastest time. And Riley Stewart from Cherry Creek from Colorado, as we mentioned, 16:28, and the fifth fastest time in this event, or in the history of this meet. Jenna Mulhern from Pennsylvania, another outstanding runner at 16:29. So the top 5 times on this course: 15:58, 16:03, 16:22, 16:28, and 16:29. So I'm looking forward to someone possibly challenging that throughout the day. At least the 16:20s, getting in that range will be a successful day and taking advantage, I believe, of the course and the weather.
Yeah, we talked about terrain and all the different variables from different parts of the country. You look at that list and you've got Tennessee, Texas, Indiana, Colorado, Pennsylvania, and then a couple of gals from California. So really, you know, this is, we're talking about kids from all over the country running on different courses with different conditions, running some of the fastest times here at Running Lane. And I think we'll see that today as well. Looks like they are getting ready at that starting line.
And I have 8:57 on my clock, or my watch, and they're supposed to start at 9 o'clock, but they're leaning forward, ready to rock and roll. The starter is still making his way, like I said, I pictured toward his platform, but they're ready, not wasting any time here.
Want to make sure that competition course is all clear.
Like a lot of bare arms on the line there as well. You got some sleeves, got some runners wearing some sleeves. Lots of gloves, that's good.
But a lack of earmuffs or stollies or anything. Yeah, I see one young lady there with the orange and white uniform. But still, I would like to trap that heat in my head. But I've been known to throw some gloves off in the middle of a race.
And they're off.
Ladies and gentlemen, our girls.
Yeah, here we go, the silver girls.
And running in the 2024 Running Lane Cross Country Championships.
And that's a great vantage point there, Bill. A lot of cross country courses, it means don't have a wide starting line as they have here in Running Lane. And that just allows runners to be able to run straight. And we shouldn't see anybody fall at the beginning of these races. What they have, pun intended, good running lanes.
And that is Cheyenne Thomas in the lead. She is wearing her ever popular Stars and Stripes socks. Very tall, very lanky young lady with a long brunette ponytail always flowing behind. I've had the privilege of calling her races all through middle school, and tremendous talent.
Your familiarity with her, is she a quick starter, always like we were saying here?
She likes to take control of the race, yes. Yep, and she comes in again with she's got a bit of a lead PR-wise on the field. She comes in with an 18:17 PR. Again, 2:13 speed in the 800, which, you know, that the fastest kicker isn't always the fastest runner in the race. A kick isn't necessarily about speed. It's about whoever can come closest to their best speed at the end of a race. More about strength and speed in some cases.
Right. When you have a half mile that has this kind of race plan in cross country, that's dangerous.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. It's a mental thing too. I know I had a lot of fun at the ends of races when I knew that I had it inside. I knew I had that speed, and I'm looking around and thinking, I got this.
There's a certain level of thinking as a half mile when you have speed, when you're racing, especially in the longer distance, and you don't expect the longer distance runners to have that kind of turnover. It's just a bravado that you have when you get later into the race.
I was a different person when I stepped on that track. Still just a quiet, kind of shy guy. But when I hit that track and I knew I had done something the week before, something to be proud of, I was not one to be messed with.
Multiple personalities, Phil is admitting to right here. But look at our leaders. She is, I mean, the races, it's just 2 levels of races here already. Not even that half 800 meters.
Slated to begin at 9:30. 9:30, our silver boys race.
It is a 1-0 band here, and then the rest of the field back about a good 50 meters.
In the country.
And there you see some pulling and tugging on the singlet there, wiping her mouth. I can imagine you're getting a little cotton mouth, a little dry mouth there with the cold, dry air.
Which she's not used to, being from Florida.
And you mentioned the Stars and Striped socks. Black singlet, and I'm going to call those line.
It looks like one of her socks is down, or maybe she's only wearing one sock. Maybe a new fashion statement for Cheyenne, starting something new. But you could always pick her out in a race with those stars and stripes on her legs.
Well, she's easily identifiable being in the front.
Yeah.
By a good margin here this morning. You mentioned the swinging ponytail. She still has that, but she is the lone runner at the head of this field at the moment. And behind her, you can see the entire field. I think one of the great things about this meet there, or you have, like I mentioned, wide running lanes. You don't have to hug the tangent, or you don't have to fight for positioning or battles here. You're going to see girls moving from the left side to the right side, getting that tangent. Just beautiful and smooth runways here at the RunningLane Championships.
About 4.5 minutes in.
So having seen her Cheyenne run previously, does this look like it's on par for her typical race strategy?
Oh yeah, yeah. I didn't get a chance to talk to her before the race. She's in the silver race, not the gold race, and I'm not sure if that is playing a part in her going after it. Her team is entered in the silver race, so that's one of the criteria to determine what race she's in. So I know she definitely wants to make a statement. But yeah, this is typical Cheyenne Thomas taking charge.
Well, she's taking it for the team, electing to run this race with the team, because you get some pretty big trophies, as we saw yesterday on the stage there. So she is definitely running to be the low stick for her team here. Cheyenne with a solid lead there. She comes through the mile.
5:40 looks like. 5:41-ish.
And looking at her cadence and her arm movement and her stride, looking pretty consistent here. Doesn't look like she's really taxed here at the moment. We'll definitely look to see if fatigue changes that later in the race. She's pulling up her jersey. But she's maintaining a lead and actually building upon it, if I'm not mistaken here, Bill.
Yeah, I think she had, looked like maybe a 20-second lead, if that's going to get our mile split times up here just a moment, but she definitely had a commanding lead and doesn't look like she's given up any.
And ladies and gentlemen, we are just on the second race of the day. This is the silver girls race. Previously, we had the community race at 8 o'clock, and the fastest female time in that race was 18:26. So that is what the standard is on the day. Cheyenne Thomas is your leader right there on your screen. She is a Floridian and running Ali oxen free at the moment.
And I was close. She had a 19-second lead over second place Morgan Bissonette. So yeah, 19 seconds. Cheyenne goes through at 5:41. Morgan in at 6 flat. Also Hannah Robinson in at 6 flat at that mile. Savannah Mitchell of the Bears Track Club in that 4th spot at 6:01. Also in that lead pack, Savannah Galbraith, Paige Askew, and Isabel Morin. Grace Dancer coming in with the 2nd fastest seed time. She was in the 8th spot, but in that trail pack, running well at 6:03 for that first mile.
And Bill, you mentioned Cheyenne is running the silver race because she's running with her team. So we're going to take a look at the team standings through the mile. Columbus Thorn has the lead with 54 points, only 1 point ahead of Sovereign Grace, who is at 55, and still not far behind with 57 points is Hill Street Run Club, which I believe, I could be wrong, but I believe that is what Lily's team is called. I could be wrong. I mean, Cheyenne Thomas's team. She's running for Red Sea. Right?
Red Sea, yep.
So her teammates going to have to do some work to get in the top 5. But your top 3 at the mile was Columbus Thorn, 1 point ahead of Sovereign Grace, who was just 3 points staying ahead of Hill Street Run Club.
Yeah, Columbus Thorn being led by Katie Frazier in that 15th position. Reese Peoples in at 24 at 6:12. Brooklyn Donner in at 6:30, leading the Columbus Thorn squad, our team leader, through the first mile.
And there's the split screen, so you get a view of the rest of the field. We've seen a lot of Cheyenne Thomas and her early running tactics, but there's a glimpse of the rest of the field as they are just approaching or going through a little bit beyond the mile point. I believe that might even be 2 miles.
Yeah, they're coming up on 10 minutes.
And there at the top left of your screen is the young lady of the race, Cheyenne Thomas, out of the beautiful Sunshine State.
Red Sea Running Club. Always a powerhouse at our middle school state championships. Got a great middle school program in the state of Florida. Guys like Dan Epstein putting on the state meet at IMG Academy for middle school track. And Laura Fredrickson is in charge of the middle school cross-country championships that's held at Holloway Park in Lakeland. Cheyenne is no stranger to those middle school meets, and we're all looking forward to her moving up to the high school level, and she's given us plenty to be happy about watching her run. Just a tremendous young lady as well as a great runner.
And in that team standing in with Columbus Thorn at the lead, they had Katie Frazier, who was their top runner coming through the middle mark, and Reese Peoples wasn't too far behind, so they're 1-2 running pretty tight there at the mile mark. That is, we'll get the adjusted scores at the 2 mile in a moment.
It looks like Sovereign Grace moving up. They're just 1 point behind Columbus right now, and then 3 points behind is Hill Street. So you got 54, 55, 57 for the top 3 teams in this silver race. With plenty of running to go, though.
And there was a tight view of Miss Thomas, and I'm looking, the field is trying to make a comeback on her as she just now goes through 2 miles.
12:05, so that was a 6:24 second mile.
And that chase pack has broken up. I believe it was a pack of about maybe 6 to 10 girls there, and it is definitely not intact, as some of these runners I believe have decided that they're going to make a run here at Cheyenne Thomas, and if they're going to do it, they have to do it now.
Yeah, she's maintained her 22nd lead. That second mile definitely slowing down. 40 seconds slower, going through in 5:40 with a 6:24 second mile, but Cheyenne maintains her lead.
And that's Savannah Mitchell from the Bear Shot Club. Was in the mix in that top group, but she has broken off, moved up 2 spots, not by a whole lot of time, but Hannah Robinson came through 2 miles in 3rd at 12:34, and Morgan Bissonette was 4th behind Thomas, Mitchell, and Robinson in 12:34. And we have some young runners here. You mentioned Thomas is just a sophomore, and in the second position, Savannah Mitchell is a freshman. So the youngsters showing us how to do it here on this early morning in the Silver Girls race. And at the 2 mile, Tiger Town has 4 of their 5 runners through the 2 miles. They're probably all through there at this moment, but still waiting for the timing to refresh. And it is Sovereign Grace now. They also have 4 or 5 scores in. Tiger Town, Shelby Park with 3 of 5, Hill Street Run Club, and Columbus Thorn, who were in 2 and 3 at the mile. They have 3 of their 5 runners.
Yeah, you mentioned Savannah being a freshman. That is quite an accomplishment. You'll be seeing her name on future Running Lane Championships, I would imagine.
And Sovereign Grace, who was 1 point behind Columbus Thorn at the mile marker, they are now in the lead, I believe. They have all 5 runners through, as does Hill Street, who was in 3rd. Looks like they're now in 2nd. Tiger Town and Columbus Thorn are down a bit unofficially.
And Cheyenne continuing to maintain that lead. Yeah, we can see that view there. She's running strong.
Yeah, Savannah Mitchell has put herself in no man's land, meters behind the leader and meters ahead of the nearest runner. So she's going to have to like really dig in and stay mentally engaged in this race. Throughout the race, we've seen Cheyenne Thomas tugging at the jersey, pulling it up, wiping her mouth, and that's been since the early stages, a half mile in maybe. Nevertheless, she continues to put it down here, and leading with Mitchell still chasing. And as the team scores continue to come through, unofficially it is Sovereign Grace who has ascended to the lead. Their first 3 runners were 3rd, 4th, and 5th in the scoring column, followed by 12th and 14th, rounding out their scoring at 38 points. Hill Street Run Club moved up a spot from 3rd to 2nd with 1.8 points, 11, 15, and 20. And they are at 55 points. Sovereign Grace's score has been adjusted to 42. And Columbus Thorn, who was leading at the mile, now in 3rd with 59 points. So those are your top 3 squads vying for the award stand. Can't forget about the Lady Falcons, the name of their club. They're in 88 points, and looks like Colts neck in the 5 spot now with 108 points. This is still Cheyenne Thomas, though, Bill. Putting it down. That's your Florida girl.
That's all Cheyenne right there. 17, about coming up on 17:20. So she could be about a minute out, although that 2nd mile she slowed a bit, quite a bit, 40 seconds. She wanted to make a statement, got out fast, 5:40, which is about 17:40 pace. But she is definitely heating up this chilly course, bringing some Florida sunshine and some fast times to this 2024 Running Lane Championship. Doing a good job of running tangents, hugging the turns. Going through 3 miles right there at about 18:04. And here she comes. Cheyenne Thomas, representing Red Sea Running Club.
She's on the home stretch, and she still has a large lead here over Savannah Mitchell from Colorado.
Yep, who just passed through the 3 mile mark. But she led gun to finish. Cheyenne Thomas running very strong. at her first Running Lane race.
And we talked about her 800-meter prowess. Not really seeing her have to turn into the leg speed that she's used to. As she's pretty much used it throughout the race. Taking the win there.
She's got great range. Looks like she might have dipped under 19. Yes, 18:57.5 for the sophomore out of Red Sea Running Club, Tavares High School.
And this is Savannah Mitchell, second from Palmer Ridge, a freshman. She was 29th at the Colorado 4A state meet and second here in the silver race at Running Lane.
19:19 for Miss Mitchell. So Cheyenne maintained her 22nd lead from the gun. And there's Grace Dancer, who is seeded number 2 in this race. She runs a solid 19:24.
And those are big team points for Hill Street trying to get on that award podium. Fourth, Morgan Bissonette. She was one of the leaders at the mile, still holding strong, coming in fourth, 19:28. In 19:33 was Hannah Robinson and Paige Askew in 19:35.
Just over 10 minutes, we got our silver boys race. That's set to begin at 9:30.
And coming through the line, I see a couple long sleeves, a couple headbands, some of the runners still with gloves. I think many of them ditched them. But if you're looking for some gloves here in Huntsville, Alabama, come out to John Hunt. There you will find plenty of them on the sides of the courses. But as you mentioned, a lot of the girls still electing to go with the shorts and the tank tops in that race. Probably Coloradoans probably sweating out here at the
I don't know.
start
We
line.
got the Floridian. She's up there on that winner's podium, still in her tank and her singlet. I'm getting colder just looking at her.
When you look at the finish line here, Bill, and you see this being the last official cross-country race, probably on grass for many of these girls. Going back to your days, ending your season, what do you think a lot of them were thinking or feeling?
They're probably thinking about track. These are the best of the best out here, and so they've already got their season planned out, their indoor season, their outdoor season. They know exactly where they're going to be, and as with most top-notch distance runners, it's 3 seasons. It's year-round. We don't really take a break. There might be a couple of weeks in there where just giving the legs a little bit of a rest, but it's year-round, and so this is just a cog in the wheel, a component of their year's goal between cross, indoor, and outdoor. And so a lot of them are thinking, okay, I know where I'm at now. I know where my strength is. I know what I need to do to hone that 800-meter speed. Like Cheyenne, I'm sure she's looking to dip under 2:10 this season on the track. And this was a big part of that. Running a strong race, had a great cross-country season. But I'm sure they're glad it's over. We enjoy the race, that nervousness before that gun goes off, all the nerves building up, and then the gun goes off, big release. And then we crank through that 5,000 meters, and we're happy to see that finish line. Noticed before yesterday when a lot of the kids were coming to pick up their packets, seemed to be a lot of camaraderie, a lot of fun going on out there. The cornhole and shopping under the tent, and just seemed like the kids were having a good time with each other. That's what cross country is all about.
Definitely. We went through some of the top finishers individually. Now let's look at the team scores. Savin Grace, who moved up from, I believe, second to first in the set from mile 1 to mile 2. At the moment, according to the results, Express Timing has them winning with 28 points. They got scores of 2, 3, 4, 8, and 11 to round out their scores. Hill Street Run Club held on for second with 46 points from the looks of it. And Columbus Thorn, who was first through the mile, fell back a bit, but they were able to hold on to a top 3 finish. I believe they're going to walk away with the trophy. See how they get that back on their flight home with a 53-point total. So that's your first 3. Those were the 3 teams in the mix from the first mile. Bill, and they were steady all the way through to the finish.
Yep, and if you're following us online, you're seeing individual places for the team scores. Those aren't actually the places that they placed overall in the race, but those are the places that they scored in the team standing. So, for instance, you have Hill Street Run Club. You have their top runner, Grace Danzer, with a 1 point attributed to her. She actually finished third overall in the race, but the top 2 runners, Cheyenne and Savannah, their teams did not have 5 runners so far in the team scores. That's why you're seeing Hill Street Run's Grace Dancer being given 1 point, where she finished third in the race overall.
Yeah, they take out those unattached runners, and that's why it took me a while to figure that out when I was in school. Like, why?
Yeah, she didn't win. Why did she have a first place?
Yeah. And of course, my team wasn't that great, so we really weren't concerned with team scores at that point. But for those at home, that is a great explanation from Bill on why you see that.
And of course, a cross-country score is you get a point if you win. You get 2 points if you finish second. So the low score wins. A perfect score is 15. That's runners in first through 5th position. And the top 5 score. And if there is a tie in cross-country, it would go to that 6th runner. Whoever has the faster 6th runner would break the tie if that came to that. And then going on to the 7th runner if that were the case.
In addition to the Running Lane Cross Country Championships, everyone that PRs gets to ring the bell. They have a bell out here. It is loaded up. Pretty big bell. Got a nice handle, and you just get to yanking. I haven't heard a lot of yanks. You just hear the ding ding, but if this is the end of my year and I'm finished, I'm yanking it. I'm ringing the thing.
Ringing it. Yeah. Is that what that was? I thought I was getting ready to go to church. I thought I heard the church bells ringing, but now you're telling me what that is.
Yeah, no, it's not church, and it's not the clock hitting every hour that often. Those, when you get a PR, you walk over to the bell and you give it a ring.
We had an 8th grader finish, Shelby Hudson from Sovereign Grace, as an 8th grader, dipping under 20 minutes, ran 19:56. That is quite the feat for an 8th grader. Also, Sienna Stark running unattached as an 8th grader, running 20.08 or 20 minutes, 8 seconds.
So we're all over the board here. We got 8th graders who, what is that, 13 years old?
13, yeah.
Running 19s, and then we have a 47-year-old in the community race running 18:26. So yeah, it's a wide variety of running here at the Running Lane National Championships, ladies and gentlemen. So 2 races already out of the way on this course. The next race, 9:30, and you see them right there. Those are the Silver Boys. I almost said Silver Bells. I hear this bell in the background and Christmas time. But those are Silver Boys. And speaking of Christmas, there's a snowman. I guess that's got to be Frosty because he's got a corn nose.
Corn cob pipe?
Or carrot nose, yeah. Nice jersey there. Frosty the Snowman, can't go wrong with that. There are the rest of the boys. While we're talking to boys, we mentioned Colin Salmon's race from back in 2021, 14:03. His team was out of sight that year, as the next couple times are from the same team, same year. Leo Young, 14:03. Lex Young, 14:05. Colin Salmon, 14:03. And Leo and Lex